Which value below is closest to 3? Well, in order to find that, we have to find the distance from 3. And it doesn't matter if it's above it or below it. In other words, it doesn't matter if it's a greater number or a smaller number than 3. We just want to find out which one is closest. Now, the easiest way for us to do this is to convert these to decimals. That way, we have a clear representation of how far each one is from 0, or excuse me, each one is from 3. Well, these are, of course, in fraction form. In order to do that, we've learned that to convert to a decimal, we have to divide the numerator by the denominator. Well, 3 is already there. We don't do anything to that. It will become 3 point something. Well, to find out what the point something is, or what the decimal is, we must first divide the 1 by the 2. So in other words, the 1 goes in the house and the 2 goes outside the house. Well, 2 into 1 doesn't work. So we have to add a decimal and a few zeros. 2 won't go into 1, but 2 will go into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and we're left with 0. So our answer is 0.5. 3 and 1 over 2 becomes 3.5. Well, this will become 3.2 if you divide it out. This will become 2.75 if you divide it out. And this will become 2.66 infinity if you divide it out. If we take 3 and subtract it from 3.5, we get an answer of 0.5. That's how far away from 3 it is. If we take 3.2 and subtract 3 from it, we get a difference of 0.2. If we take 3 and subtract 2.75, we get a difference of 0.25. And then if we take 3 and subtract 2.66, we're end up with a difference of 0.33 infinity. Now the closest one to the value of 3 is right here, the difference of 0.2, 3.2, or 3 and 1 over 5. The net change for each of 4 bond funds that Mr. Sampson invested in is shown below. Which bond's net change showed the greatest decrease? All this question is asking us is, which bond fund dropped or decreased by the most? Which bond's net change showed the greatest decrease? Well, we can automatically eliminate one of these choices right off the bat, which is right here, because this high yield bond fund increased by 7/100. So we can mark that guy out and mark number C out right here, or choice C. Now the easiest thing for us to do so we can compare, we need to try to change or convert everything to either a fraction, a decimal, or a percentage. Well, the easiest thing for us to do here is to go ahead, since we have 2 decimals already, is to convert -1 over 8 to a decimal. In order to do that, we have to divide the numerator by the denominator. In other words, 1 will go in the house. And again, 8 into 1 will not work, so we have to add decimals and zeros. 8 will go into 10, however, 1 time. And let's not forget to bring our decimal up. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract with 2, bring down the 0. 8 will go into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. Difference is 4. Bring down the 0 again. And 8 will go evenly into 45 times, and we know we're done. Now, we also have to remember that we need to retain the negative sign. So we have a negative 0.125. Now, we can think about this in terms of dollars. Which bond's net change showed the greatest decrease? So we are actually looking for the larger number. The larger number, not the one with the greatest value, but the larger number, the biggest distance from 0. Well, we have negative 0.125, we have negative 0.09, and we have negative 0.1. And we can also add a 0 here if we want to. Well, the biggest change or the biggest decrease is 0.125 or negative 0.125. And you can think about it in terms of dollars. Look, is 0.125 larger, 0.09 larger, or 0.10? You can think about it as 12.5 cents, 9 cents, or 10 cents. Well, this is going to be larger. Therefore, our answer is the basic bond fund, which is right here. A PE teacher wants to learn more about the physical fitness practices of his 7th grade students so he can plan his curriculum. He surveys a sample of 50 students. Which of the following questions would most likely yield helpful results? Choice A, what is your favorite school subject? Well, that has really nothing to do with physical fitness of 7th graders. B, do you have any exercise equipment at home? Again, this question is more related to what he's talking about here, but doesn't really tell us about the actual physical fitness of 7th graders. Because a 7th grader could have all the exercise equipment he wanted to, but whether or not he used it would really determine his level of fitness, so that's not a good choice either. How many hours per week do you snack in front of the TV? Again, that gives us somewhat of an idea, but I think there's a better choice here, which is D. How many days per week do you exercise and for how long each time? That one is going to give us it's going to give us a better idea of the physical fitness level of the 7th graders. Choice D. Put these in order from least to greatest. Well, again, in order for us to analyze, it'd be easier for us to go ahead and convert all of these into decimal form. And remember, we're dealing with numbers here, or we're dealing with negative numbers. So, even though the numbers look larger, the least are going to be the furthest to the left on the number line. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The ones further this way are going to be smaller or least, and the ones further this way are going to be greater. Well, negative 5.25 is already done for us, so we don't have to convert that. We might have to convert this fraction 1 over 12. And we might have to convert this fraction here, and we might have to convert this fraction here. This one's already done for us. So these two are done. We really just need to work on these. Well, in order for us to find out what the decimal equivalent to a fraction is, we have to divide the numerator by the denominator. In other words, the 1 will go in the house and the 12 will go on the outside. Well, 12 into 1 doesn't work, so we have to add some decimals and some zeros. And let's not forget to bring our decimal up. 12 won't go into 1, but it also won't go into 10. So we have to divide it into 100, and it'll go 8 times without going over. And remember, let's not forget to put a 0 there. 8 times 12 is 96. The difference is 4, and we must bring down our 0. 12 into 40 will go 3 times without going over. 3 times 12 is 36. And you're going to see that we're going to keep getting 4, and we're going to keep getting the 3 up here. So the answer will be 5.083 infinity. So we've got this one done, we've got this one done. Now, and let's not forget our negative sign here, now we've got to do the negative 4 and 3 over 4, which, take my word for it, once it's divided out, is 0.75. And you may have to go do this one longhand like you did here before. This one's done for us. Negative 5.33 infinity. And just take my word on the math on that. So now we've got everything converted to similar terms. And the question again is asking us from least to greatest. In other words, the smallest value to the largest value. Well, when we're dealing with negative numbers, I would much rather owe you less money than more. Therefore, we got to put these in the order from least to greatest. The answer is negative 5.3 infinity, negative 5.25, negative 5.083 infinity, negative 4.75, and finally negative 4.5.